everyone, let's talk about Jojo Moyes's The Giver of Stars. The Giver of Stars is a Depression-era story about Kentucky pack horse librarians. Moyes really takes this idea of the pack horse librarian and gives us a all-out, high-stakes, sweeping story. We start with Alice, our main character. She is a English expat who leaves England because she meets her husband. I believe he's just a very rich son of a coal mine owner. I think that's correct. Coal mine owner. And they quickly kind of fall in love after a very quick whirlwind romance. She doesn't really actually know anything about him, but his dad is very overbearing. He's constantly around. They can't consummate their marriage because dad is literally sleeping next to them on their way back to Kentucky. And then they move into his house and they just never leave. And so she's kind of just stuck in this really weird position of I love my husband, but my father-in-law is just always here. And so, the reason she wanted to leave England in the first place, too, is because her parents were very controlling. And so she ends up kind of just trading one very controlling family for another, unfortunately for her. And so she ends up, very excommunicated from everyone she's ever known because she's in Kentucky. She's in Appalachian, rural Kentucky, and she knows nobody. And so one day there's a town hall meeting or a church. I can't remember exactly where they were. And our main character Alice is asked, along with all of the other women in this meeting, if any of them would be willing to volunteer to be pack horse librarians and ride horses around rural Appalachian Kentucky to deliver books to people in the community who cannot readily access them on their own. And Alice jumps at this opportunity because she's like, get me out of this house. So she volunteers, and in this process, she meets someone who becomes her best friend, Marjorie. Marjorie, very fiercely independent woman, does not follow the status quo, unmarried, unwed, sleeping with her boyfriend, and everyone knows it kind of vibe. She just does not give a shit about what people think of her during this time period. And so Alice really grows enamored in her friendship with Marjorie and along with the other pack horse librarians, and they really kind of just form this deep family bond. It's really, really cute. I really enjoyed that aspect of this book. I thought that all of the friendships and the relationships in that regard were just really well done. With that being said, Marjorie, really great character, at some point gets accused of murder. Very sad. But I will say, with all of these things mixed together, we see that Moyes does something really incredible here. She uses Alice's outsider perspective as an expat to introduce readers to Appalachian life in a way that I don't think she could have done if our main character had been an Appalachian person already. We get to see, the harshness, but also the rugged beauty, the community, the friendships, the, resilience that they experience within this within this region and everything. We also get to see the prejudices that people prescribe onto Appalachia through Alice's eyes, because a lot of people assume she will have those prejudices. And she grows by meeting these people and being a part of the pack horse librarianship and everything. And so it really focuses a lot on Alice learning about this region and slowly falling in love with it. And I think that is just really deftly done. It's really beautiful. I loved that part of this book. I think we would not have been able to have that perspective if Alice was not our main character. And so I think Moyes' choice to do that was really, really good. Also because of Marjorie's accusation of murder, we get not only a small town perspective when it comes to the community and the library, but we also get higher stakes drama with the murder trial, with what's going to happen to Marjorie, and the tension of that, and their friendship. And so I really thought that this was just a really good, heartfelt historical fiction. I loved and enjoyed it. There were some pieces that were not my favorite, but it was fine. I kept moving forward and pushed past them, and I ultimately had a great time reading this book. I think if you enjoy stories other historical fiction stories by people like Kristen Hanna, you will really like this story. But I did want to take a moment to talk about some controversy that this book has received. just to kind of throw my hat in the ring on this discussion, I am by no means a lawyer, nor am I an expert when it comes to plagiarism. However, this book has been accused of being plagiarized by a author who also wrote a book about the Packhorse librarians in Kentucky. That book was published in 2019. This one, I believe, was published either 24 or 25. I think that we need to have an honest and open conversation about how historical fiction novels based on the same historic event are going to have overlaps. Just because both of them are about the Kentucky Packhorse librarians does not mean that it is the same storyline, that it is the same characters, that it is the same plot. I think we need to be open and honest about that, and I think that it is a negative to say plagiarism is at play here, because we should not be discouraging people to write historical fictions, because oftentimes this is the only way that people learn about often overtold histories and stories and overlooked humans and minorities. And so I just kind of wanted to say that because I looked deeply into these allegations. The publisher threw them out. The publisher did not agree with the allegations, and it never moved beyond someone just mentioning it, someone bringing it up. But it is out there, and so I thought it was worth talking about at the end of this review, that historical narratives about a specific time in history will often have overlap, especially when we're talking about similar regions and groups of people. And so that's okay. I don't think we should discourage that at all. We should still be telling stories about overlooked communities, and that includes Appalachian communities during the Great Depression. So I just wanted to say that because I think it's kind of weird that this is still discourse that's happening for this book. So that's my take. I'm really sorry if you disagree, but I think that that's where this has to land when it comes to books about history. So if you're interested in historical fictions, you like Kristen Hanna, you enjoy libraries, I think this one might be for you.